Hey, it's Mr. Dan from Bernheim. Welcome to another episode of Wow! Wonders of Water. Today we're going to be talking about one of the tests we can do to make sure that the water in our creeks and streams is healthy. And that test is pH. Now pH is a measure of whether water is an acid or a base. Now, to many folks, an acid or a base doesn't really make a lot of sense. What is that stuff? Have you heard of an acid before? Yeah? I've heard about acids like, oh, in the comic book, the superhero fell in some acid and then turned into a villain and it was weird. But acids actually appear in everyday household items. I have an acid right here. Check it out. Orange juice is an acid. I like to drink a cup of acid every morning. It's nice and healthy. Now, bases are on the other side of the pH scale. Bases are things like ammonia, bleach, or lye. Stuff that gives us clean bathrooms and clean laundry. So when we're talking about pH and a creek, what we want to find out is our water an acid or a base? Or is it somewhere in between? So if you take a look at the pH scale, you will see that the pH scale runs from a range of 0 to 14. Right in the middle at number 7 is a pH that we call neutral. Can you say neutral? Great. Now if you look at anything that is more than 7, we call that basic. That is a base. The things that are bases, like I said, are ammonia, bleach, lye, cleaning supplies. On the acid side, you'll notice that things like battery acid are an acid. Go figure. But also things like orange juice, vinegar, even Coca-Cola is an acid. So, you need to be careful about how much of that you drink. So, when we test our water, we want to make sure that it is very close to neutral. So the Kentucky State Standard for water is from 6 to 9. Why do you want a pH that's not acidic or basic? Why do you want it to be close to neutral? Well, think about it. Do you think a fish and a frog is going to be happy swimming in a creek of orange juice? No way. Too much acid. What about a nice creek of bleach? No, that wouldn't work out very well either. So when we measure our pH, we want to make sure that it's not too much acid and not too much base. We want it to be really close to the middle. So the way we measure pH is with this handy dandy gadget. It's a pH wheel. All you have to do is go down to your water and fill the 2 tiny tubes to the first line. Once you have them filled to the first line, you are ready to move on. All right, so we take our water and we put it into this little box. Then is my favorite part. We get to use a pH indicator solution. This is a special chemical that will tell us what the pH of our water is. So hold on a second. We're going to add 6 drops. So can you all count to 6 with me? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we close the lid tightly because we don't want any chemical spills. And we take that tube where we have added our drops. See, we've changed the color and we swirl it up. Ooh, it's a pretty little blue color. So now what I'm going to do is I put this in the hole and I spin a wheel until I match the colors. When I'm looking at the colors, I line up the colors and make sure they match. And once I have the colors as close as I can to matching, I read the little number in the window. This is telling me that our water right here in Rock Run has a pH of 8.0. Is 8.0 in between 6 and 9? It is! So, we have a healthy pH reading in our water. But pH is only one of the many tests that you can do to make sure that your water is healthy. And we'll talk about more on Wow! Wonders of Water.